Welcome to Soul Sync.
Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to Soul Sync, your spiritual besties. I hope you guys have been having the best motherfucking day. As my clients know, I always start my lives talking off, and today we have a very deep, intense, and emotional topic for you guys because, as a lot of you guys are probably feeling right now, there is a lot of chaotic energy going on, and we want to help and walk you through it.
Yeah, I know everyone is feeling this full moon in Scorpio. Good God. It happened yesterday, Tuesday at like 7:49 p.m. was like the peak of it. Um, and you could probably feel it for a couple days after, as you can feel it a couple days before it comes too. And it's just been a very heavy emotional kind of like bringing up open wounds and things that weren't resolved in ourselves and just like bringing it to light. And personally, for me and Sammy, at least, we have been feeling it in its entirety. So, how have we got so lucky with that? I have no idea. But we're going to be talking about kind of how to navigate during times like this and what we did or still doing for this full moon, too, and any rituals that have been helping us so far. So, Sammy, what have you been cooking up that's been helping you with this energy of this full moon?
So, I have been feeling so awful. I would say the past couple of days have probably been the hardest that I've had in like quite some time. Um, so I've just been taking a lot of space to just do whatever I feel called to do. I'm so grateful for my Lotus Lifts community. I had let them know that something has been going on in my life and that I'm present, I'm here, I support them. So we've been talking every single day. I'm still doing the non negotiables when it comes to work, but I've really taken a step back from any other outside pressures, any other outside responsibilities. I would say walking has just been my ultimate savior. Like Taylor, have been hitting over 20,000 steps the past couple of days because
Right?
all I can do to like move through my feelings is just walk and walk and walk. And like you said, this is in Scorpio, which is a water sign. And currently, I don't have any water in my chart. I'm an Aquarius and Taurus moon. So that's air and earth. So I've actually been doing a lot of bath rituals where I honestly just sit there and fucking cry. I just sit there and cry. Or I do a lot of shower cleansings, and I've been talking to my angels and I've been praying a lot when I'm in the shower. And I'm just asking them to, like, as this full moon is in its entirety, just wash away like all of this pain I'm feeling, the heartbreak, the negative, any negative emotions at all, just wash them away. And not only have I been asking them to clear my aura and just clear my field, I've also been really asking them to clear me internally because, like you said, a lot of stuff from the past is like coming up right now, and it's kind of showing the things we need to heal right now in our present. And that can be really, really difficult having to go back and relive experiences that once broke you down.
Oh my God. Sometimes it's the most difficult thing to do because it's like you squished it down for a reason, It's just painful to feel and painful to try and navigate through. But I really do believe that, like, the root of everything, once you like kind of get to it and you can sift through all like the little bullshit on top and see what that root cause is and like go towards that head on and figure out how to heal that in itself, it can open up a lot of doorways for us and a lot of new discoveries about ourselves and stuff like that. Um, for me, I've been triggered a lot relationship-wise lately. So, like, within my last couple exes and last couple relationships I've had. So, this full moon was really just totally about triggers coming up from things that I never really thought would affect me as much as they would in a current relationship, and they actually are. So the more they come up, the more I'm trying to just take note of them in my head and be like, okay, this I'm going to journal about later. Okay, this I'm going to journal about later. And I ended up journaling probably like 5 full pages of just things I've noticed within the last couple days, the last week. And each and every one of them, which I thought was really interesting, was kind of towards a specific ex. So it was like all different exes and all different experiences that I had with them that I kind of never really put to bed and never really resolved in that way. So it's interesting, like even having conversations with my partner and being like, I'm sorry, that you don't have the full healed version of me. Like I never wanted to get into a relationship unhealed so that I would bleed on them when they didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like a totally different person, but he did just reassure me like that's why I'm here, and like I'm here to help you through any traumas and to just totally change the narrative for you in that way too of like what a healthy relationship actually is. So it's been a lot of digging up the past for me in that way. And it's the shittiest thing ever because you don't want to even think about those people and you don't even want to think about what they did to you or how they programmed you or manipulated you. But at the end of the day, you realize sometimes it's so, so necessary in order to close the chapter and to be able to move forward in life. So I think that was more so of my journaling experience and letting go for this full moon. I know you journaled a lot too
Mhm. Yeah,
during this.
I'm like nonstop. I'm waking up and journaling, going to bed and journaling. I'm very grateful because I have started really separating my emotions in my journal. So it's like I'll have like the journal I'm eventually going to burn, and I am going ahead and like writing my forgiveness letters and writing all the pain and the triggers and the bad experiences there. And then I'm still thinking about, because this is a really pivotal time for me and my family right now, in the sense that like we're moving in 2 months. So the fact that I'm feeling so unshaken before such a big move is really scary. So I'm also, needing to look at apartments right now, needing to, I bought my plane ticket yesterday, which thank you, universe. It was the cheapest that it's been, and Miss Nala is coming with me. So you know, still trying to take action steps towards your goals and the things that you want when you feel like your life is crumbling is just so difficult. Like it's probably one of the most hardest things. So I've really been trying to separate them. I've also been actually using a dream journal. I don't know about you, Taylor, but my dreams have been wild, and it's literally like old people are coming up in them, current people are coming up in them, but they're doing things that really hurt me in the past that other people actually did and they never ended up doing. But I'm like, what the fuck? So I've been writing all of my dreams down because I've had some really, really vivid dreams. Like, to give you guys an example, Tom and I are currently watching Shield right now, which I actually took a step back because I noticed that it was giving me weird dreams, just like all the fighting. I absolutely love Marvel. It's one of my favorite genres. However, I noticed it was really affecting my dreams, and I had this one dream where I literally had my throat slit open, like from the middle, just slit across. And I was like hysterically crying, and I was like, no, you can't give me stitches without any form of medication. And for those of you guys who watch Shield, May, of course, who like, we all know she has kind of some emotion, but at the same time, she's low key emotionless. She's literally stitching my throat back together, and it's like it's stitched in an X. That's how she stitched it. And it was just so weird and so vivid. And I just woke up like, literally shaking. I was like, what the fuck was that? So I've also been recording my dreams as well because I've never really been one to do that, but they're just so crazy lately. I'm like, I feel like I need to.
Yeah, that's wild. Oh my God. I feel like the little messages in our dreams of like our subconscious trying to tell us things, like I wonder if that had anything to do with your throat chakra or being like, like pay attention to it or it's struggling or something. Like at least that's what I would like immediately think of
Yeah.
because that's really like symbolic, I feel like in a way, like an X on the throat. So that's wild. I think that's a great idea though, a dream journal, because our dreams really do try and tell us things. And in our waking lives, like things that we're going through in our lives that maybe we overlook and our subconscious mind catches on to, and we don't realize that it's like actually affecting us or something. So I think that's a great idea. And honestly, my dreams have been really fucked up too. Like, but for the longest time. So I wonder if that could just be like a me thing. But every day I wake up and I'm like, well, here we fucking go. Like, just finish watching a horror film again. Like, what? But also, like, me and Tyler do watch horror films right before bed. So that's totally like my bad, also.
I could see
So
where that.
that could be it. But I don't know. I do feel like during full moons and during like really heavy energetic shifts in the world, my dreams are a little more chaotic than usual. So a dream journal would be like so beneficial. Yeah, and just the forgiveness letters that we were talking about earlier, like I feel like that's a game changer in itself. And I know like a lot of people have maybe done like some form of a forgiveness letter at one point or another in their lives. And it's things that you don't realize you need to forgive someone for. Like when you're really thinking about it and you have all of this negative emotion towards someone, it's the first thought in your head is not to forgive them. And it's not necessarily for them at the end of the day. Like it's for you to let go completely and to be able to move past certain things. So forgiveness letters serve a huge importance in your healing journey. And I think that, especially during a time like this, they're really important to utilize. And, if we feel comfortable sharing anything about who we've forgiven or why, I can go first if you want.
Yeah, maybe you go first. I feel like I always get so nervous about sharing. This has kind of been like a limiting belief that's been coming up for me that I was talking to Tom about because, you know, obviously I have so much love for the people in my life, but teenage Sammy, before I started my fitness journey and I started my healing journey, I felt really, really alone. And the people that I dated, I felt very, very hurt by. And Taylor knows literally the whole spiel on that. And sometimes I feel guilty bringing them up, even if we don't know their, like, nobody knows their names. Like, I feel bad. So I would love to share. And I think in a way it's just gonna be facing that fear because at the end of the day, like Tom said, it's my journey. The ways that I'm feeling and the things that I need to forgive, they're really fucking valid. So that's something that I don't know about you, Taylor, but I just feel like comes with a podcast and comes with talking about your things because we all have trauma, but actually talking about it and knowing that the person might be listening, I feel so much guilt for. I'm like, oh, I don't want you to feel awful. I don't want you to think I'm talking shit about you. I don't want like you to be feeling some type of way. But at the end of the day, like we really do have to stay our truth because that's what's going to help people the most.
100%. I could not agree more.
Confirmation.
That really was like the perfect, and it was loud too. It was like, fuck yeah. Yeah, no, I can go first. I do totally agree, like in a sense of that. Um, and also just being able to speak our truth, I feel like we can do a lot of good with. So we're kind of just shifting that narrative in a way of being like, this isn't necessarily putting someone else down rather than, you know, helping other people see that we're only human, people fuck up, we fuck up. Sometimes it sticks with us more than other things do. And it's just something that we have to process and go through. So, I mean, without being too specific, yeah, like I mentioned before, it was the last 4 exes that I had, and each trigger was tied to one of them. Things that I really thought I processed already and thought that I was over. So, for example, like being the annoying girlfriend was one trigger. Like no one said anything. Like Tyler now has not mentioned anything about me being annoying. And we even had the conversation of like, do I annoy you ever? And he's like, no, like you could never. But in my head, like it will just start playing games and bring up all of these old things that exes said to me or felt about me, and the energy they even gave off to me was something that just came flooding back into my head of like, shit, I'm annoying him and I'm doing this and it's going to push him away, and it's just certain things that weren't even happening, and it's just you can't even help but pinpoint and be like, okay, well, I know exactly why I felt that way. So let's squash that. And forgiving that person was a really beneficial thing for me because it was kind of like he didn't know any better with what he was saying and how he said it. And I said, like, from the mind of a teenager, like this is where it came from. This is where it originated from. So I was kind of more so like, I forgive you for not even realizing how it would affect me. And I took it in the way I did because of my own issues and my own insecurities. So it's nothing necessarily even towards him, but being able to just like look at that situation and totally differently and be like, okay, get out of my head, like you're free from my head now, like I am not even thinking about it because this is a totally different relationship and totally different person. So that was definitely one of them. I learned that the silent treatment is my kryptonite. And that was a big trigger for me. And this was actually something I had to really sit in for a while and think about why it made me just break down, like for no reason. So my head went in 500 directions. You start blaming yourself, you start just looking at all of the things you do wrong. And you're just like, wow, like I'm a shit person. Like I deserve the silent treatment. You know what I mean? And all of these came up because of the manipulation that my most current ex would do to me. And it was more so in a form of punishment to me and in a form of like manipulating me to just put me down and put me in my head and in a really low space. Like he knew what he was doing with that. So even in the most innocent cases, like it was with my current ex, it brought up a lot of shit that I just never even realized had such a chokehold on me at the end of the day. So I think all in all, triggers really are such a blessing. Like when you look at them and you're like, this is pinpointing exactly what I need to work on, exactly what I need to heal, what I need to put to rest, and just like be able to move past so that I can be my most authentic, higher version of myself. Like, I don't want anything, any shackles on me, chaining me down to any past relationships or any mistakes or anything like that, because it's just keeping you in the past at the same time. So I think forgiveness letters are such a beautiful tool that people should really utilize. And you know what I realized? It doesn't matter how many times you've forgiven one specific person. There's like infinite, there's no limit to how many times you can really look at a situation and look at the same person and be like, I forgive you for this. And I release that. So a lot of releasing going on too, which I'm happy about. So yeah, that's just kind of what I've been doing the last couple days. It's
Okay,
been working.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, girl. Shit's not easy, but it's necessary sometimes.
I agree. Well, I think it's funny because I actually wrote 4 forgiveness letters too. And then I did write another one last night to the universe, believe it or not. So the first one was Actually, to my mom, who I just want to preface, I love her so much. She is the strongest woman that I have ever met in my whole life. And I would not be here if she did not raise me as a single mom. Um, but I feel like I really needed to do a lot of releasing because just my whole life I just never felt enough, you know? Um, I never felt enough in that dynamic of the fact that I was compared to my brother a lot in a way of like, well, he did X, Y, and Z, so make sure you don't do this. Or when he did graduate, he got into his career. And I mean, he is so successful in my eyes, and he always has been. I'm so proud of him. And I felt like there was even a little bit of comparison there of like, well, he's doing this and he's making this much money and he's working this hard. And it just felt like what I was doing was never enough. And something that I realized a lot from listening to podcasts about like mental health in your 20s is that we take habits, tendencies, and beliefs from the people we lived with. It's just inevitable. And that's what the healing journey is really all about, figuring out who you are and who you want to be. And I felt like there were quite a few beliefs and tendencies and most importantly, reactions that I had learned that I'm really disappointed in myself for because you can do one of two things. You can either become that or you can say, I will never become that. And I feel like being tested as much as I have this past year, living completely on my own with Tom, even though we already were, but now we're like in a whole nother state. We don't have our family and friends around. I was tested a lot and, I ended up needing to give a forgiveness letter to myself because the emotions. So sorry, guys, bear with me. But I
You're
needed
good.
to give a forgiveness letter to myself because I was not acting in a way that I want my higher self to be like. And that can even be like one or two scenarios out of 10. Like, I know the person that I want to be and I know the person that I am and I want to show up as her no matter what's going on, no matter what I'm being tested with, no matter what I'm get being triggered by. And I noticed that I was being a little bit more reaction instead of like reevaluating the situation and responding. And I've been hard on myself my whole life. And this was what I said in my forgiveness letter. I was like, I felt so abandoned by my dad leaving. And then I felt so abandoned by all my like past relationships because let's just say I didn't have the best track record. And truthfully, I didn't care. Like, I would have done anything for a lot of those men, And I realized that I gave up on myself first. And I think that was the hardest part is realizing that I abandoned myself first. I stopped loving myself first. I stopped feeling worthy in myself. And just like Taylor said, I've done so much healing on this category. I can't tell you how many times I've said the affirmation like, Sammy, you are enough. Like, you are more than enough. You are so loved. And like, I've done so much work on my heart chakra, but sometimes you need to just do it over and over and over again. And eventually it's going to stick. But I feel like that was definitely tested the past couple of days. And another one that I really had to forgive was also my most recent ex. Very similar to a lot of what Taylor had said. It was just I had no control in this situation and I felt like a puppet. Like, they'll talk to me when they want to talk to me. If they want nothing to do with me, they will just shut me out. They'll tell me to leave. They won't respond at all. And I kept going back and I got my heart broken so many times to the point that I was breaking my own heart. I mean, when something happens, like they know your grandma passes away and they break up with you on the same day over a text, that should be like a clear red flag of like, get the fuck out. Like, how can anybody do that to you? And a part of me was really mad at myself for continuing to go back. And I was really mad at myself for the choices that I had made, and a lot of shame about how I treated myself, especially in terms of like my binging and gaining all of my weight and my negative self talk. And just like you said, it's so crazy how your mind can take over and tell you all of these lies and tell you all of these things. And writing those forgiveness letters, it was awful. Like it was so hard. Like I bawled my eyes out so hard, and I told Taylor, I was like, you know, you're going through it when you're on the bathroom floor and you just can't hold it in anymore. You just need to like cry and release it. And the last letter that I wrote was to the universe, because as much good as it's given me in my life, and I'm so grateful for where I'm at now, a part of me was like, why did I have to go through all of that? Like, why do I continue to have to go through pain in order to learn? Like, I'm open, I'm listening, I'm always doing rituals, I'm always working on myself. I'm still doing 75 hard, even though I'm a mess. And I feel like I give it my all every single day. So, universe, like, why do I have to experience this? Why do I have to feel so awful about myself and so awful about certain situations? And, you know, I just really had to give it a forgiveness letter of like, I forgive you. Like, I understand that this is making me stronger, and I forgive you because I know that, like my best friend Tara says, it only gives the strongest fights to the strongest warriors. And I always knew I was here for such a deeper purpose than I even understood. And I know that I have to go through the hard times in order to help my clients and in order to help all you guys, my best friend Taylor. Like, I have to experience it in order to get through it and help people get through it. But man, is it just not easy. So those were my forgiveness letters. And as you can tell, I'm still very, very emotional about it. It brought up a lot of old memories and a lot of old pain. But I truly believe that this full moon, this pink full moon, which is like one of my favorite colors, is washing all of it away. And that's why it needs to come to the surface so that we really can fully forgive. Like, I'm going to be honest, Taylor. I feel like my client Nicole says it best. She's like, I'm going through an ego death. And I'm like, I feel like I'm going through an ego death too. Like, I literally feel like there is a big fat part of me that's just dying, which is so ironic because Mark literally just called me.
Really? Oh my God.
That's where I'm at, guys. And just know it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to not be okay, because we're not always going to be okay.
100%. Girl, I'm so proud of you. You're holding up. Like, it is really tough times right now. And all we can do is the best we can do, you know? And to give yourself as much grace as possible and as much love as possible. And you are doing all the things. And like you said, the universe really does need forgiving too. Like, I never really thought about it like that until you were saying that. But it's so true, like how we can take things the wrong way because we don't see the bigger picture. So it's like anything, like if you ask for strength, the universe will give you tough situations. You know, if you ask for wisdom, you'll get all these difficulties and things that force you to view life in a different way. And most of the time, they are really hard lessons that are just shoved in your face, and reality calls, you know, like big wake up calls from the universe being like, this is what you asked for. I'm literally giving it to you so you could learn it. And there was some sort of quote that said, like, if you ask the universe for a birthday cake, it gives you all the ingredients. And for us to be like, but you didn't give me a birthday cake. It's like, but I gave you the eggs, the flour, the milk. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's up to us to also like be responsible for the lessons that come from it, and to be able to take a step back and look and be like, wow, the universe did deliver, just not in the way that I expected or maybe would have hoped for. But sometimes the hardest lessons become like the most beautiful blessings in our lives. I mean, I'm sure we can all think of some sort of example for that. But I think you're completely right. I think this time is just about shedding the old, and it's going to feel super heavy before it feels super light. So I think we need to go through these dark phases and dark periods in life, and to just always remember that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and there is such a bigger purpose for all of this. And that has been the one thing that's been my anchor through everything, is like, this doesn't last forever and there is such a beautiful thing coming from it, no matter what it is. And you know what? It always happens. And even just by having that full trust and full belief in that and in the universe, you are manifesting that at the same time of like, after dark, there is always something so much brighter right after it, and it will happen, and it does happen. So, any way that you can have an anchor like that and just put full trust into any shitty situation is probably one of my best advice ways of how to get through it. And just like that story that we told, I think maybe 2 podcasts ago, of are you a bull or are you a cow? Like, when you see the storm coming, and this really is a fucking storm, okay? This is a shit show of a storm, this energy and just everything happening at the same time. It's like you still chose yourself. You still chose 75 hard. You still chose to show up for yourself, show up at the gym, show up with your health, your mental health, your spiritual health. Like, you are doing all of the things still, So that in itself is not fucking easy. That's really hard. So to even give yourself grace in that way and to sit back and be like, good job, good for me. Like, I am so proud of myself for still choosing myself at the end of the day within all of this chaos. So I'm really proud of you. And I know that you're a strong ass girl. Like, I have seen it time and time again, and I'm not worried about you. Like, I know what's to come from this is just so amazing. So, and I'll be here every step of the way throughout it too.
I love you.
I love you, girl. You're never alone. And you know what? No one is at the end of the day. Like, we have each other, and people have us if they ever need to reach out or just re-listen to this episode. Like, just to know that we're all human. We all go through things like this. We all have to feel these really heavy, hard feelings and learn to navigate them. That's what life is about. It's not easy, but it's here to teach us everything we need to know. So I love you.
Me too. And I totally agree. I would say my faith is honestly the only thing getting me through. Like a lot of talking to the universe, like you said, a lot of journaling, a lot of prayer, and I think like most importantly, a lot of surrender. Just
Mhm.
allowing to go through the wave and know that we're going to come out on the other side, like I just keep seeing in my head like the surfers, and it's like they fall and they fall, but then they have that one big epic like zoom, and it feels like the most amazing feeling in the world. So I know that I've been asking the universe for a lot. I've been manifesting really big over here, and like I said, I know that it's just like yet another test of Sammy. How bad do you want it? How hard are you willing to work for it? And that's why I needed to do the forgiveness letter, because I was just like, I will do whatever it takes. I always have and I always will. Um, and like you said, I know that it's going to get me everything that I want and more. We just got to get over this wave right now. And we're all in this together. And I'm so grateful to have you, because as I was telling Tara and Rachel last night when we were thinking about our vision boards together, which is really hard when you're going through hard times and you're feeling all these triggers. It's like, how do I even think about the future? But I truly need to. That's the space I need to like be figuring out and having clarity about right now. I said I was like, I never thought I would have the most amazing friends. Like I never thought, hi Boomy. I never thought that I would feel this supported in my entire life. Like not only like emotionally and physically, but also spiritually. And at the same time of going through hard times and feeling like I'm crumbling, like I also feel just so blessed and so grateful. And I think it's really important to note that because that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned over this past year is that there's enough space for both. There's enough room for both. And you can have the most amazing, amazing hour of your life, and then you can have the most devastating hour in the same day. You can have them in the same afternoon, you know? So just making sure that you're holding space for all of it because you can. And I just believe that's what's getting me through. And the more that I focus on the gratitude and the more that I focus on what's feeling and going right now, more of that is going to come back into my life too.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. It's exactly what's gonna happen. So I'm sending so much love, light, and healing and good energy your way, sister.
I feel it. Thank you.
And we'll get through this together.
Always. And so will all of you. I know that this wasn't necessarily the most happy, uplifting episode, but this is why we're here, right? Like, forgiveness is the ultimate form of healing. And sometimes healing is really hard, it's really emotional, and healing is not linear. So I hope that you guys listen to all the advice that Taylor has given me and just give your guys so much, you give yourself so much grace throughout this because you really deserve it and the universe is seeing how hard you're working.
Yes. Oh, I love that. You're so right. Oh, and you know what? We're showing up as our authentic selves. So
Very true.
what you see is what you get, people.
Yep.
Yeah. So I hope this helps someone out there too, just to not even feel alone at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So you guys know where to find us. We have that Ask Google Docs if you want to say anything, ask anything, or have us touch on any certain topic that might help you as well. Sammy, where can they find you, girl?
You already know you can find me on all the platforms at Sammy Roos underscore for Instagram. So that's going to be SAMIRUESS.
Fuck yeah.
Taylor, where can they find you, babe?
You can find me on Instagram at Taylor Bavel. That's Bavel. And our Soul Sync account. Duh. We got Soul Sync SB on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. You're listening from somewhere, so you got to know one of them. And yeah, this is your sign, I think, to really go easy on yourself. And, if you're feeling energy from the universe, just take it as maybe a time for reflection, a time for slowing down, and a time for journaling and releasing. So take care of yourselves. And in the meantime, we love you.
So much. So, so much.
Yeah. And we will see you next week.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.